So we're going to go between these two pages. Let's make sure we're in the right page. We are. So let's create the HTML. This is NinjaGold. NinjaGold. And what is there, 3 rows in NinjaGold?
4.
There's 4 rows? 4 rows. We have...
4 boxes.
Oh, sure. Okay, right, absolutely.
Yeah, 3 views.
Yeah, we'll get a header, the body here, and then the footer. In the header, we'll have the total gold. Go. The body, we have, that's right. We have 3 divisions. Each one division will have a class of box. I didn't hear. I'm sorry, I can hear you guys.
4.
4 boxes, yeah. Oh, I said 3, right. And then footer will have pretty much just a box that has in it a paragraph that will say something like, you entered the cave and received and gained gold pieces. Cool. And then in the middle we have the boxes, and each one of these boxes has in it the name of it, such as the farm, a button that says enter, and is that it?
No, you can see whatever gold.
And the gold amount, thank you. Sure. Paragraph. Nope. H3. I'm going to say, I don't know, whatever it is, 3 to 5 gold. Something along those lines. So I'm going to just create, I'm going to back this up a little bit because it's a big screen there anyways. I'll make a CSS file, style.css. In the same folder, we're going to give everything a outline 1 pixel dotted red, and let's change the view, layout, 2 columns. This over here. Just gonna forget about it for a minute. There we go. Should probably link it. href would be what? Style.css. There we go. Now they're linked. We want the div.row to be width 970 pixels total wide, and the height, we want to have a minimum height of, let's say, 100 pixels so we just see them. There they are. And then div.box, we're going to set that to have a width of 22% each. That does not look like 22%. What's wrong with this? Oh, I can't see it because it has a... Yeah, okay, let's fill these guys in real quick so we can have content inside of them. But display in a live block is exactly it. Yeah, good call. Display inline block. 1, 2, 3. Oh, I'm too far in. There we go. So there they are. We have the 3 boxes, and we have the content inside of it, and we have those buttons here. We can click on each one of them. Inside of this box, we're gonna text align center, so it looks a little better, and then maybe margin 0 auto. Nope, that didn't do it. that wasn't the right thing to do. There we go. Okay, that's good enough. That's close enough to being in the center, right? More or less. All right, do we have any more HTML that I need? Any more HTML that I need, or is this pretty much it? Right? Am I missing something?
I mean, maybe some borders, but not too major.
Okay, fair enough. Cool. Let's add padding. 10 pixels. Oh, it's a little much. Okay. Good. What's that? Oh yeah, yeah, right. So I did zero auto, didn't work. We can do text align center, I guess. That should work. Zero auto on them didn't work. What's going on here? Oh, there we go. Should we just go with this? Is that all right? Cool. All right. So the idea is that what? That first off I have a total gold amount that'll be up here, just continuously updating. I'll be able to click on each one of these and it will just add the message of where it's going to and increase the total gold amount. So each one of these buttons here, the enter buttons, are forms, right? And they're all going to post the same place. I'm going to make this a little smaller. I think it's a little big anyways there, so I can see more. Just make this brighter on my side. Okay. So let's create the process page. And let's make sure that when we go to a process, we will see it. So I'll say here, die in process. And I'm doing this as if I was doing this for a test, right? I'd be doing it the same way. Because I want to make sure that if any of these forms actually ever execute, I want to make sure that it is going to that process page no matter what. I don't want to guess that. So here I'm going to create a form. And inside of it I'll have an input, which is type submit. And value is going to be enter. So I don't need that anymore. Let's see what that looks like. Same thing. There's the enter button there. So let's just copy that and put it inside of each one of these. Okay, so these are each forms. How do I know that? Well, I can see here that it's actually posting, but inspect element under network should pretty much always be up to see what's going on. So if I click on enter, I can see that I did get requests and it was not a post request. I can already see that when I click on submit, and that's because I haven't defined what form is going to be. So let's just do all three at the same time. All four at the same time. And so we need a method to be post, so it does post, and we need an action to say where it's going to post to, otherwise it's going to post automatically to the same page. So process.php.
Hey, what keystroke does that for you having so many things?
I hold command and I click on where I want to type. So now if I click on this, it takes me to the process page and dies there. If I click on this one, the same thing, click on this one, the same thing, and click on this one, the same thing. So I know all buttons are working, going to the right place. But there's nothing unique about each one of these buttons to define that this is coming from the cave, this is coming from, etc., right? So I'm going to add, and perhaps maybe we'll do it on all of them again, just because it's faster to do it this way. So we're going to add an input on all of them. It's going to be a type of hidden, so people don't have to see it. We don't need them to see this. A name is going to be, on the demo thing and things like that, we use the name action, and then we give it a value of that unique action. Just like I showed you guys yesterday, we could have just used the name, which is the key, and define one as farm, cave, house, and casino. But this is just one extra check to see if it's an action versus a reset versus whatever. Either or. I'm going to do it this way because this is just more the proper way of doing it. So I have a key of action for all of them, which we'll post. And this one will be a farm value, cave, cave. What else is there? Farm, cave, house. And this is supposed to be gain / loss. Or it should be 0 to 5,000.
-50.
Yeah, we're gonna go and just do it a little different. Negative 5,000 to 5,000. Yeah.
Why can't you just add a name to the original submit?
To the original submit.
Yeah, type submit name equals what is how? Oh, Internet Explorer usually. See, I just didn't. Why do you need that hit point if you just add a name to it?
Oh, to the submit itself?
Yeah. What's the end say in Internet Explorer?
Oh, if it does, then that's just not the way to do it. But I like it this way because I know that this input is just there to make to just let me know that this is the right kind of form as posting, and this is only there to submit. Because if I don't want a submit button, I can just delete that. That's just the way I see it, right? So like this has its own purpose and such. So okay, cool. So now in the process page, how do I specify, or how do I retrieve each one of these form postings to do a different set of code? I heard if. I heard is set. Yeah. Right. We're posting to it, so we can just do this, right? So before we do any of this, let's just var dump and see if there's any post content coming to this page. Then die here. Absolutely. We're not using session yet, but we do need to use session start. So I'll use session when I need to, just so you guys see that. I don't like this. Bothers me. They're off top of each other. Okay, casino, house, okay, house, casino, okay. All right. So if I click on farm, I'm getting a post of action. That's the key, and a value of farm. And here's the die statement. If I go back and hit on cave, it's giving me the cave. Same thing, but cave for the value. House, same thing, but house for a value. And casino, same thing, but casino for a value. Right? Awesome. So since I know there's something unique about each one of these forms that are posting, I can now say if there is set of post and its key is action, die and say action. Right? So now we're saying if there's something been set that was the action, right? So we're going to go into that action die statement every single time, because all I'm checking for if there's been a set, if we have set a post with a key of action, and they all have a post key of action. So that's a little ridiculous. There we go. So what do we want to do? We want to include one more statement. If that's true, and the post of actions value is double equal signs, single equal signs will kind of break this. Double equal signs to farm, then die here and say farm, let's say, right? So I'm going to go back here, and I'm going to click on cave. And got to cave? It did not, right? The die statement that I was waiting for was farm. If the if statement executed and the action's value was farm, I should have seen farm die, not here die, right? So I see here die. So if I go to farm and I click on that, I see the farm die statement, because both of those if statements were evaluated true. The and sign means both have to evaluate. The or sign means either or will have to evaluate. Cool? Yeah.
Is that just more efficient to do the ands at the top rather than just doing it is set?
Yeah, I don't know if it's necessarily more efficient, but you could do it either or. I can see both ways. I can see somebody also doing if the is set of action. And then inside of this if statement, you have a couple of if statements that say if the post of action is equal to farm. That's a good point, actually. You don't necessarily do that, right? I'm just showing a different way to do it. Yeah. and then you can say else if here, and do the same thing, but set it equal to cave.
Is there any way to figure out which is more efficient?
There's really so minor that, yeah. However your brain works, like however you think is best in your mind, yeah. Because here you're checking on the action one time, and then you're checking to see what the value is uniquely. Either way is I like it this way because it's a little more clean in my eyes. So we're gonna get rid of that bar dump. We don't need that anymore there.
Why don't you just check to see if that has a value? And then if it does, you load it. It's either going up
Yeah, there's a problem with that, I believe. Let's double check.
that way you can assign the location of whatever that is. And then press enter.
Yeah, it's going straight to farm. There's actually with Taylor, we did that with you, right? Where we were checking the value of a post, and it was giving us an undefined, wasn't it? Because we had to check if the post is set first. Right now, it's not doing it, which is kind of odd.
Well, you've said it because you haven't changed the session.
It might be something like that. Maybe it's like caching something. Yeah. Whatever the case, the proper way is to for sure check to see if it's set, and then check to see what the value is. That's the yeah. It's weird that it's working out, but for sure, I swear. When Taylor was trying it, it didn't work because he gave us an error. So, all right. So this is farm, cave, house, and casino. And as you can imagine, I'm going to do this on every single one because I want to make sure I know where I'm at every time I do a post. Interesting. So I have my errors turned off, so it's a little more unique to do this, right? Let's see. Else if this, do that. Else if farm, else if this, else if house, else if cave. Oh, yeah. Thanks. That's funny, actually. There we go. Farm, cave, house, casino. Might seem kind of redundant for me to do these checks, but I now know for a fact they will always work, and I never have to check that again, ever. I never have to go backwards on my assignment. And that's very, very, very... well, you do it the other way, you realize how inefficient the other way is, because when you get an error, you have to find it. In this case, I know exactly where the errors are. All right, so what's next? The next is we just want to, so there's two ways. I can either hard code the value inside of my index.php page and say, send another input that gives me the gold value. But, right, no, because then if I have the gold value there, somebody can change it, right? Just like if I had a price of a product there, somebody can change the price, and then I'm posting a price back to my server of 1 penny, and I'm buying that product for 1 penny. So, yeah, we'll talk about that. So here, if that's the case, I want to get a random number to equal to between whatever that is. What is the random number for this one? Between 2 and 5 or something?
10 and 20.
Okay. 10, 20. What about the other ones?
10, 20, 5, 10 for cave.
Can you also just make a function above all this?
Sure.
And a switch that
Sure.
does it based on whatever location.
Sure. We could do that too. Yeah. What's the cave? 5.
Cave is 2 and 5.
Never.
Zero is -50. Yeah.
House is.
House is. Sorry, house is 2 and 5. Sorry. And then, yeah, I know. Sorry. Who cares?
What's the cave?
A million.
All right.
Case 5 to 10.
Make it random ecstasy.
Yeah. And then this guy is going to be a -50 to 50. Now, again, do you know for a fact that this is going to give you a -50 to 50? Is this random number going to evaluate to a -50 number? What I'm saying is, like, do we know for a fact the syntax here is correct? Is that how you do a negative in the random number? Sure, and I agree with you guys. That is the way to do it. But if you don't know, you never guess. You check it. You var dump that value, you go to it, and you make sure that every time I do this, I find negative and positive numbers. Right? A lot of these errors can be taken care of if you just double check every single step of the way. That's my point of that. Cool. And with these all also working the same pattern. Now session start makes sense because we need to session some things. We need to use session. And we'll use session also in the index.php page. So on the top of this page, let's use also session. We'll do it here. Session start. So if each one of these comes in, we wanted to set a random number to, well, let's not call it rand. This is not good. Yeah, let's call it gold. Okay, so we're setting gold to be the value of the random number. And then we want to have some kind of session variable that has the total gold, running gold, whatever you want to call it, and to be whatever it is plus the gold. So we could do this plus this is equal to itself plus gold.
You should just do plus equal.
You can, yep.
So plus
Yeah, I'll do the shortcuts. I'll refactor the code afterwards, but I'll do it like the long ways the first time. So, but what is gold at this point in time? Will this work? Can I var dump here the session
Not assigned, like, whatever.
of total gold?
That wouldn't just be.
Well, let's see what happens.
You haven't initialized total gold to anything.
you need to though. You're just playing.
It looks like it's just setting it.
Just set it to 0.
Yeah, but right, it looks like it's automatically setting it. I don't know if that's necessarily like, and could be an error, but it's not giving me an error. But I could always see if the session. Let's back up. When we first go to this website, let's actually session destroy real quick. Let's go to our main page. Session destroy. Let me show the total gold from my session right there, so I can see a 0 value, right? So I'm going to go here and just get rid of that number and put in here the session of total gold. I'm going to refresh. I'm getting nothing here.
We're still closing the session.
It's gonna get assigned.
Yeah, I'm still destroying session. I wonder if this is because I turned off errors. But I should have an error there because the session of total gold is not defined, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so up here I have to say if is set is not true for the session of total gold, then the session of total gold is going to equal to 0, right? If it's not defined, I'm going to set it to 0. That's good.
That's a good one all in line like that.
Either or, I mean, yeah, sure. We could hit enter, but if it's just one single line that's just doing one thing, I don't need an else statement because if it is defined, then just let it go. But if it's not defined, set it to 0. So when it gets to this point, it's going to show me a 0 value. Whoops. Thank you. There it is, 0. So if I go to farm and I go back to this page, I have 13. I go to farm. I go back to this page. I have 33. Right. So that counter seems to be working. Let's make that. Let's make this no longer die here, but actually header location index.php. So what this means is that it's going to post here. This if statement will execute as true. It will grab a random number and add it to the current value of total gold, and then it's going to redirect me back to index page. Right. So I won't even see this page. I will just see the single page itself and the value here changing. So if I hit enter, 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 it keeps adding. Make sense? Awesome. So we could technically take this code and delete this. What is that? 2 to 5 or something? 2 to 10. Whatever this was, 25 to 35 to 30. And then random one is this, so it's negative 50 to 50, so put that there. 50 to 50. So if I click on cave, it should do the same thing, but the cave amount, house, the same thing with the house amount, casino, the same with the casino. Notice how we're losing a lot of money. Seems to be a trend in the casino.
It's captured that genus.
It's just addicting to see how it goes. What's that? What's that?
Oh, captured. I'm just looking at your inspect.
Oh, oh, I'm not sure what that is. We're not even gonna look at that. I'm not sure what it is. Yeah, that might be from PHP, the Apache web server that's sending that with it. Yeah. Okay, so that's done, right? The actual numbers for each one of these that are executed is increasing my gold and is also changing my gold positive or negative in casino. We just have to make sure that we add a message now. So every time this happens, I have a message happening. So each one of these will need a message. So how did you guys do the message, by the way? Yeah, associative variable works perfect. So messages, we can put in here a message, such as you entered the whatever it is and gained the whatever amount of gold it is, right?
You've got a problem already there. Your total goal is $7,000.
Sure. What I'll do here, I will actually use, because I know that this here evaluates to the word farm, correct? So I can put it here, and I will know that this will always give me the word farm concatenated with that string, correct? And I know that the gold amount here can be concatenated here, so I can always have the gold amount here no matter what the gold amount is, right? And I can set that to be a session of message, and then I can print the session of message in my index page. So this is just step number one to see if this will work. And so this is a paragraph tag. I'm replacing a paragraph tag with printing a session variable. Let's just see what this looks like first off. Click on farm and gain 10, gain 14. So that's changing, and that's kind of doing the right thing, right? But if I right click and inspect element on this thing, this is a div that has in a text. So let's put it in a paragraph, right? We can actually put the paragraph here, right on the text that I'm actually sessioning. So if I refresh this page and I click this again, now I actually am printing out the session, which is a paragraph now. So if I right-click inspect element, it's not just a div, but it's a div with a paragraph that's encapsulating the text, right?
Just so you can apply styling to it.
What's that?
Just so you can apply styling to it.
Whatever it is, but at least the text is rounded up with a paragraph that's taking up the full line. Is really more than what I was going for. So there's a couple ways you can do this. You can use an array, or you can concatenate to the string itself. And what this does is I can say that I want my session of messages to equal to the session of messages plus this string here, which means the previous string that I had is going to be here, and then the new string with the new gold amount is going to be to the right of it, and they will all be reassigning into the session message. So really what I'm doing is I'm taking a paragraph and I'm saying, hey, take this paragraph, add this other paragraph next to it, and redefine it to be the session of messages, is what I'm doing, right?
Does it include a break between them?
It's not including a break, that's a good call, but the paragraph itself is a inline block element. Excuse me, it's a block element, so it's going to take up the full row every time. If I didn't have that option, I'd have to just add a break statement right here, right? Like just on the end of that line, so it always goes to the next one. So if I refresh this page and I click on it, now I'm getting a bunch of different gold amounts, right? And it'll go forever. So far so good?
Over in the index, are you going to have to do like if it's set?
That's a great question. Let's find out. Let's test it. Session destroy. You do have to. I apologize. I have the errors turned off, but they will definitely give me an error right here, right now. The reason why it's not giving him it, because right now, if this was like a real project, you wouldn't want your client to know that you have an error there, or the users. Yeah. So we would do the same thing, but as opposed to total gold, we can do messages. And if messages is not set it to an empty string. So, but absolutely, you would need to do that. So if I click on gold, now I'm gaining gold. And if I hit refresh, Oh yeah, I got rid of the session destroyer, of course. So there's all the gold. But let's just replicate that same concept. Notice how I'm just building one at a time, right? And once that one works, oh, that's interesting. This still works after the header redirect. Yeah, that's a perfect example of why we need to make sure that header not only is at last, but there's an exit right after header. For good or for bad, at least you guys see it where it fails to just redirect without running the next line of code. But this way, we ensure that it's running the next line of code. So I can take this and put it here. There goes that there, and there goes that there. So let's see what happens now if I click on cave. You enter the cave now, gain 10. What about casino? You enter casino and gained 18, negative 18. That's a little weird, right? So we'll have to fix that. Right? Yeah. So first off, let's make this box not go on forever. I don't want to just keep clicking on this thing and the scroll bar just keeps gaining in size. So how do we do that? How do we fix that?
I'll give it a fixed height.
Yeah, great. We can give it a fixed height, absolutely, and exactly. So this division here, which is the footer division and style, I could say div dot footer. Say the height. Oops. Is going to be set to 500 pixels, and then overflow scroll, meaning give me a scroll bar if it overflows beyond the height that I'm expecting. So if I refresh this page, there's 500, and actually there's a scroll there. It's a little hard to see. 500 is a little much. Let's go to 200 so we can see it. So if we keep clicking, there is a scroll here to see it. But the problem is that the first one we click on is in the top of the page, and the last one we click on is in the very bottom of the page. So how can we change the pattern?
You can shift or unshift whenever you're
If we do an array with shift, yeah, in this case, all we have to do is just change the pattern of which we concatenate the current message in the array, in the string, and the end of it. Does that make sense? Like before, I was taking all of the message paragraphs and adding to the end of it a message. Now I'm taking the message and adding to the end of it all the rest of the messages in my session. So now I'm just kind of like prepending the string before all the content. Excuse me.
Can you quickly explain what exit does again after the header?
Yeah. So it's like the same thing as a die statement. Is exactly what it is. But the problem with header is, just like we saw, you'll still execute the next 1 or 2 lines of code.
Right.
So by putting an exit right after header, you kind of ensure that if it has to delay for whatever reason, it will still not run any further lines of code. That's really why it's there.
On the processor. I mean, how does it?
I'm not sure. I haven't really pinpointed it before and haven't really looked into it.
So if you want to var dump anything out of there, you would have it comment out the location every time, right? So if you're trying to run through where you have a problem in your else ifs, you're going to have to comment out header location every time.
That's right. That's right. Or at least everything up to, from the very beginning of that file all the way to the header. If there's any var dump, it will break it. But if var dumps are after the header, the interpreter never hits any var dumps, so it will work. You know what I mean? Like, I can put as many var dumps as I want under this, and that'll be okay. Well, not quite under it, but exit, of course. But the idea is that if I had it right before it, it would print it, so it would break the header, so we wouldn't be able to use the header. So let me go out a little bit. If you guys can see them all a little bit more even. Can you guys see that? Is that all right?
Sorry, Spiros, were you saying that if your var dumps are inside an if loop, then it would just
No. If the var dumps are prior to a header, the header will break. If you have var dumps after a header, so the idea is that if you have header there and the interpreter reads var dump and then reads header, it breaks.
as long as it doesn't go through any of the loops that create a var dump.
Exactly. So theoretically, you could have it there. Best practice, you don't use var dump when you use header. It's like when you debug, you kind of uncomment one, comment the other kind of thing. Yeah. So let's just fix the casino, right? we want to just say if the gold is less than $0, then this is going to be a different kind of message statement. Correct? Then we want the message to say you entered the cave and gold gained. Is that what I have here? Oh, yeah, that's weird. Nobody called that out. And gained so much gold, but less than 0 should be and lost so much gold.
You could have a break even one too.
What's that?
Break even as well.
Break even.
Or in other words,
Sure.
we've gained 0 gold, which is possible, but
Sure, we absolutely can. Gold pieces. So we'll do the same thing, and it'll be a else if equal to 0. You entered the casino and wasted your time. Not really. I'm sure you'd have.
Got wasted.
What's that?
I entered this casino and got wasted.
Got wasted. I'm not gonna actually kind of put it up there for the demo, but
hope you got 3 moons.
otherwise, no matter. And by the way, otherwise has no condition on it, and actually would break it. So otherwise, just give me that basic message that says you entered the casino and gained Okay, 1 second. It's a little weird when it's all out like that, but let's just make it look a little easier here. There we go. And there we go. You entered the location and gained this amount of gold pieces. Okay, so we have the 3. And that is closing. This should be up there. That should be out of there. Get rid of the spaces here so it's all in line. That should be under that. Should be under that. And that should be under that. There we go. So we have them kind of aligned now. So we're getting the gold from random, and then we're just kind of creating the message. And also after the message, no matter what the message is, we're just defining the gold to be the gold amount. We don't need the message there anymore because we created it. So let's just see if this works. Yeah, let's see if this works. Casino, lost 19 pieces. Well, we don't want negative. That's not good. So how can I fix that? Exactly. I don't want to redefine it as absolute, but I just want to print the absolute value of it. Lost 20 pieces, gain, 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 lost, gain, 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 lost, and we're actually up. Look at that. Cool. So actually, it's kind of done. We'll just add a couple things. Hey, that's a lucky number. We'll just add a couple things to make it a little nicer looking. Get rid of the outline because we don't need the outline anymore. Bless you. And we'll do that. So I'm gonna comment that out, refresh it, and there it is. And let's make it so that the paragraphs that we add that are losing us money, we'll make them red. The text, right? How would you do that? It was a very simple way of doing this. Since I'm adding, whoops, where's it at? Since I'm adding this paragraph, and this particular paragraph here is when it's less than gold, why don't I just give this particular paragraph a class of red? And then in my style, I'll say anybody that has a class of red, set the color to be red. So that if I get anything that's lost, it adds it on there with a class of red. If we do inspect element, that one has a class of red, that one does not. Class of red, class of red, class of red, that one does not. Neither does that. Make sense? Pretty easy method of just getting things to be red or whatever it is in there. So,
Can you go back to process B?
absolutely. All I did is when this condition was met, meaning that there was going to be a low number, I just said, give me the paragraph around this text, but make sure that it's a paragraph with a red class in it. And then in my style sheet, I said if anything has a red class, make the color of it be red. Okay. Excellent. So I think this is working. We got to do a reset button, so let's do that real quick. Where do we want to put that? Here? Bottom? Div class row, and inside of this we'll create a form. Oops. Inside of that we'll create an input that has a type of submit, value of reset. We need a method. It's going to be a post. We need a action. It's going to go to process.php. And in our process.php page, we need to make sure we retrieve this. So let's add a hidden input. Type hidden, just so nobody can see this input, and we'll give it a name of nm, a name of action, and a value of reset. So far so good? So I'm going to go here, and I'm just going to add another else if. And if this says reset, then I want to says destroy, and then header, location, next.php. And since we have the checks in the top of our index page to check if any session variables that I have used in this page, such as total gold and messages, if either of the two have not been set because this is your first time to my page, or you went through the reset and everything got destroyed in session, then I'm going to make sure that if they're not set, I'm going to set them to a 0 value and an empty string. Otherwise, you will get errors, right? Because it's trying to print a undefined session variable. So if I refresh here and I click on reset, everything resets. Back to the casino we go. Oh, there's an issue. We have negative gold. How do we fix that? What's that?
If you're at 0, you can't go to the
Oh, no. If it's less than.
Oh, right. That's the idea, right? If it's less than 0, yeah. They don't have credit there. All right, let's do that. So, how would you guys? What do you guys think we should do?
You can make the whole
below
string.
0 cut off toe.
Yeah, pretty much. After we set the message, or prior to even before we set the message, we can say if the session of total gold is less than 0, then we can say, we could do that too. We can create a session variable that if it's set, we hide the button. If it's not set, we leave it as is. Yep. So if session total gold is less than 0, what do we want to tell them? We want to concatenate into it a string that says,
You have no money to work.
You must leave the casino.
yeah, not a chance, buddy. Why not?
Kneecap.
Are you trying to
What's
make
that?
it so the session is killed?
I'm just doing, I don't know what I'm doing, honestly. I'm just putting on here a message that is supposed to say this message. We're going to do an else statement here for the next one.
Or less than or equal to, I guess.
Or equal to?
Yeah, 0.
Sure. If it's less than or equal to, then if the session... Oh, you know what?
No,
I'm
yeah.
doing this in the wrong
Yeah,
place.
Inside there, yeah. Inside that.
It's less than or equal to 0, that's automatically going to go straight.
Yeah, because you can't enter the casino if you have no money.
Yeah, so this thing here should be here, right? And if the total goal was either less than or equal to 0, then we can give them a different message that says not a chance, buddy. And then we can also set the total gold to be 0. So no matter how much lower it gets redefined to 0 value. Yeah. Oh, break. Aha. Ah,
What was the problem there?
I have no idea. I'm trying to figure it out. So we're setting gold to be this, and then we're setting the session to become different after the gold is added to it. And then we're saying if the session total gold value is less than 0, then we want to store a message that says not a chance. And we also want to set the total gold to 0 value.
You don't know you've hit that.
Ah, that's the problem. Else, if, else. What's going on here? So, since we're, no matter what, changing the gold, I see. So that's its own if statement there. And this is another if statement that says if the gold value that we have on there is, which one is this, lost? Is less than 0. Because this one is checking to see if the gold that you got from that click is less than 0, then tell them that, hey, you did this or this or this. This one here is simply saying if your total gold is less than 0 after the fact, you can give that message. So, else. All of this. So what I'm saying here is set my total gold to something, -50. Then set my session to be the total gold plus that. And if I find out that my session of total gold is less than 0 at this point, I'm going to session a message that says not a chance, buddy, and set my gold to 0. And then also header, location, index.php. Does that make sense? Otherwise, meaning that the total gold right now is not less than 0, it's either 0 or more, I just start checking my gold. Is the gold less than 0 that they got that particular time? Give them this message. Is the gold equal to? Otherwise, if it's more than, give them this message. And no matter what, header, location, redirect. Right? So, not a chance, buddy. We're good. Not a chance.
Of course, if you got
We're
0,
good.
it would still say.
If you got 0, I think it will
You
say...
have less than 0 rather than less than equals.
Yeah, because you might give him a chance. No, no, okay, we don't want to give him a
When
chance.
you got 0 gold,
All right, sorry guys, I'm sorry. Cool. Now it's working, right? Awesome. We can go to farm, cave. Which one is the big one? This one. Cool. Okay, so that's set. But let's refactor the code a little bit because this is way too much code for what we're doing. No matter if we're going through this if statement or any of these if statements, we will always header redirect to the location, correct? So we could just take all of this and erase it. And in the very end of my page, just put a header location redirect and then an exit right after it. Right? Now I got to make sure that all the exits are out of the way also. Does that make sense what I'm doing there? Okay. What else?
One of
That
those are identical to each other.
and that and that. Yeah, that seems all too redundant. So why can't we just say this whole string is the same string as each one of them? As a matter of fact, this whole thing here to there is all the same between all of them, is it not? No, it's not. These two, I think, are. Yeah. At least for those two, these two are repeating. Right? So let's see. If it's that, do that. Else, if it's that, do that. Else, if it's that, do that.
But you can
Else.
still make a function that you just include the random numbers that you're the range that you want for your random. Right?
Yeah. What I'm thinking is like, how would we just reduce the amount of code here? Switch, same thing as it. Else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Couldn't you just make a function where you enter in the names and the range?
Yeah. So we can get rid of those because we don't need them. If it's a one-liner, we don't need to put the quote, the brackets. It has to be right afterwards, but we don't need to put the brackets. So I can.
In my else, it's
Thank you. Yeah, so we could do what, who talked about it earlier? We could just not necessarily the switch. What I'm thinking is like we do the is set of post of action. Yeah, so this is where we can do a couple of interesting things. So the whole reset, we can say, I don't know, we could just change this. And its value is reset. And so that the reset button does not use the word action. It's a whole different thing. Right? It's a reset, whatever. I'm just changing it so that if I hit the reset button, it still goes to that form. Oh, it's not
Well,
going to
you
that form.
change it to rest on the other one. Yeah, reset and rest.
Ah, thank you. You guys are paying attention. That's crazy. Okay, what am I doing? Reset. If it's reset,
Value reset.
Well, that's it.
You need a capital R.
where?
One value is capital reset, the other capitals.
Oh, well, this is a different kind of post, so it'd have to be its own if statement. Right? Oh, this is why it's breaking right now. I'm sorry, because I just left code there unattended. There we go. I just had that top part here, so it was breaking up there the whole time. Although that was still part of it down here. So since I know that action will only be one of these actions here for cave, farm, or casino or house, we could say if is set of post of action, and inside that you can get rid of those. So I'm putting all this code inside of that post of action. Let's see. So if it's farm, if it's cave, well, if it's any of these, farm or cave or house, all we need to do is just get the gold for it. Hmm. Suppose we can. Yeah, so we can kind of break it up a little differently. We can make this be its own if statement. We say if the set of action, and then we're checking farm, cave, or house. We execute this code. Oops. You don't need to repeat all that. So if it's farm, set that gold for it. If it's cave, set that gold for it. If it's house, set that gold for it. And then if the action, this is a little iffy. So I'm saying if we get a post and the post value is not casino, I go into the if statement. If it's farm, give me the gold for farm. If it's cave, give me the gold for cave. If it's house, give me the gold for house. If we really wanted to make it very skinny, we could just. Anyways, we could do the same thing for all these. Cave is 1 to 5. What could you get from a cave? It's not going to be much. 10 to 20.
What's your strategy to make the casino win 70%?
What's that?
What's your strategy to make the casino win?
What do you mean?
I think one of the instructions is to make the casino win 70%.
Oh, it does say that?
Yeah.
That's a new one. We didn't have that before. All right, we'll do it in a second. So if there's a post of action of casino, then I want to set the gold for it, and I want to set that condition to it. These just have to be there. I don't think there's a way to kind of refactor these. And these have to be there also. There's no way to really refactor those also. So let's try that. Does the house still work? Casino still work? Still work? What happened? Oh, yeah. And reset still work? Yeah, so it's all still working. And since this is again one-liner, we could technically put it there. And that could go there. What else? Can you refactor anything else out of this? I don't think you can. What? Yeah.
Reset it. It goes to the same.
What's that?
What does it tell you if you reset the value to 0 and then go to the casino?
You have to have the if set. Usually if it's not set, then it's equal to 0. If it is set,
Where at? I'm sorry.
He's just saying you can't. How could you gamble at 0 again?
Oh,
You can't.
okay. All right, we'll just change that guy to if. Which one is it?
I think it's already.
Yeah, right here. If the total gold is less than or equal to 1. No, 0. Because if you have $1, you can bet with it, right? All right. And
You can bet with $1.
yeah,
and
so
18.
if we had to make this casino always win 70% of the time, what could you do?
Parameters from -30 to 70.
Well, yeah, that's one way to do it. We could say a random, let's say from
Can you set it to your current goal?
perhaps, yeah, I would do something like this perhaps. Chance is equal to 1 to 100, and if chance is more than 70, then it's from -50 to 0. And this is pretty much else.
You're gonna read that.
Change. Yeah. Right. So now we're saying we're just getting a random number for chance. Actually, we don't need to do that, right?
Did you change the else to 0 to 50?
We could just do that. Else. Yes. Thank you. Okay. Yeah. So let's see this now. Did I do it the opposite way? Did I do it the opposite way? Okay, there we go. What? I must have done it the opposite way. Hold on.
Well, no, the problem with that is that it only.
What's that? What's going on? Should we go to the casino right now, or what?
If it's greater than 70, the casino only has a 30%.
Yeah, it should be less than 7.
Yeah. Thank you. Good call. Because this is the gold for negative, so it should be less than. Absolutely. So we should definitely not go to the casino. Look at this. This is more realistic of real life. We're holding up, right? Kinda. And all our dreams are.
Not a chance.
Yeah. Cool. So that took like an hour. Yeah. Awesome. Hopefully this was a little helpful to see how things are, to break down, at least how I do it. Yeah. So again, just to remind you guys, I'll give you the code. So you can let me just actually stop the video. Should probably be a good idea.